Now, the Bram Weinstein Show on Washington's new home for sports, ESPN 630.
Hey, babies. Hey, babies. Hey, babies. Hi, everyone. I love short shows. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. I love short shows.
This is your favorite thing in the world. I don't think you love anything more than afternoon Orioles baseball.
Go O's! I love the Orioles season. You know, less is more sometimes. I still get to talk. I get to say my piece.
Sure.
You know.
Right.
O's won today 7-2, so they take 3 of 4 from the Yankees.
Yep.
Nationals are playing right now, too. Bottom of the 6th. They trail in Arlington, Texas to the Rangers 3-0. Texas scored all of their runs in the second inning. And the Nationals bats have gotten 2 hits through 6 so far. So we'll see how they go. That's a rubber match of that series because they won last night 1-0.
Yes.
They're still 500 again, trying to get over 500.
Trying to get over 500 for the first time in 3 years, guys.
3 years.
Yep.
A couple other baseball things I'd like to talk about. One,
Sure.
You showed me this hot dog guy at the Mets game that was being... People were throwing because they had $1 hot dog night,
right,
which
yes.
in New York, of course, will turn into
the Phillies.
mayhem.
The Phillies had to stop it. It was
Yeah.
so bad last year.
Yeah.
So
You showed me videos of a guy who had to be escorted out of the park because so many people were throwing their $1 hot dogs at him.
Correct.
Because he was going to eat them all. I don't know what the actual problem was, but okay.
You want to hear the backstory on him? The fan, a welder from Westchester County, had to be moved from his seat by security in order to get the other fans to stop showering him with spare hot dogs.
Spare hot dogs. Right, because people went up and they're like, I'll take 7 of those because it was $7. And then who's going to eat 7 hot dogs? I don't want to meet you if you are going to go somewhere and eat 7 hot dogs. Like, night's over, guy.
The fan in question had apparently gone all out for the night wearing a hot dog hat and a handwritten shirt that read, "Bad day to be a glizzy."
Because he's going to eat as many as he can.
That's right.
So he went to the Mets game to eat as many $1 hot dogs as he could, and the fans complied by shooting hot dogs at him. And then this was, quote unquote, a riot in their minds and had to move him. I mean, what did he do wrong by showing up wearing a hot dog hat and saying, I'll eat hot dogs?
That was him on the Metro after the game.
And he was putting a scorecard of how many hot dogs he ate.
He had a running tally.
He had a running tally.
It's kind of weak
by
for
my
the amount that was.
Well,
the
by
amount
my
of trouble.
count, it says 19 on his shirt. So did he really eat 19 hot dogs?
No, it's 2 different categories. One's dogs, one's beers.
Oh, so he had 10 beers, he says.
Yeah, and then
9 hot dogs.
That's weak, in my opinion.
10 beers? He didn't drink 10 beers.
Yeah, I mean, look at his face. I mean, he's
10 beers is a lot.
It's pretty blitzed.
10 beers, it's still a lot. Do you think you could drink 10 beers in a 2-hour period? Do you think you could do it? I don't think I could do it.
So I would correct you and say you have to include pregame.
Okay.
2 hours before, hour and a half before.
You know, at the pitch clock, things move fast.
I know.
Now.
Oh, I'm well aware.
10 beers in a 2 hour, 10 beers.
If I set out to do it, yes.
I couldn't drink a 12-pack of beer. Even if I wanted to, I don't think I could do it.
I think I could.
I think I'd pass out for that.
Did you need me to do at Nats Park over the weekend?
Yeah, find out. Let me know how it goes. Wear a T-shirt saying I'm going to do this.
I'm going to drink 10 beers.
Let's see what happens. Yeah.
There are questions here, just as a sports fan. What beers were they? Because were they just like 16-ounce draft beers? That's way more doable.
They have to be normal size.
Right.
I mean, you
they
can't get
be
the ballpark.
Giant buds they sell now.
No, nobody can do that. Nobody. I don't care what kind of beer drinker you are. You can't do that.
That's technically like 3 beers. So,
considering we have. Well, this would be dangerous because somebody could die of alcohol poisoning. But considering we have a hot dog eating contest, why don't we have the beer challenges and see who passes out first? But that just seems like recipe for disaster.
Correct.
And encouraging terrible behavior.
That's right. Yeah. So that's
even though eating 70 hot dogs is not something I want to profile to the children of America either.
Even though it's every July 4th.
Yeah, every July 4th
on the boardwalk.
Yeah, here you go. We're gonna watch this guy eat 70 hot dogs and another guy eat 65 and be pissed that he can't beat the dude.
That's right.
And that's some kind of model of American behavior. It's terrible. The other thing I wanted to talk about baseball-wise was Stephen A. Smith's preposterous take on Mike Trout, which, have you seen this?
No, I haven't seen this one.
Said this after the news came out that he got hurt again. And he said this, let me tell you this, Mike Trout is a sensational player when he's healthy, one of the greatest, he really is, and I'm a huge fan, but I've grown disgusted by his lack of availability. It makes me question, I know he looks the part, but what the hell are you doing to take care of yourself? You're always injured. I mean, damn, it's baseball. What are we talking about here? It's not football. It's not boxing. It's not the UFC. You're running up and down the court 94 feet in basketball for 82 nights a year. It's baseball. Half the time you're standing out in the outfield chewing on pumpkin seeds or something and waiting for a fly ball to come your way.
Stephen A., what are we doing here?
How the hell are you always hurt? I don't understand this. It drives me nuts when I see baseball players get hurt. What is it that you're doing with yourself physically that you can't stay healthy playing baseball? Now, if you get hit by a pitch or something, that's different. I get all of that. With these oblique injuries and you're running around the bases, catching one, and then you're running out for a fly ball, and all of a sudden something gets tweaked. What the hell is going on?
He does realize he's had all different injuries, right? Like, it's not one nagging injury.
He blew out the meniscus in his knee.
Yeah, right.
What precaution would he have taken to stop that from happening?
Right, exactly.
He would be, okay, why does Tiger Woods get hurt all the time?
Sure, yeah,
He's
right.
just playing golf.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
Well,
half the time he's,
He's playing with Navy SEALs, so.
Okay. But I mean, like, it's just so. Do you not think that what he does is an extremely athletic thing?
Right.
And that, oh, by the way, when you hit those kind of home runs and the torque you have to put on your body, that it's possible you might, I don't know, blow out a disc in your back, or I don't know,
Right.
hurt your knee, or what do you think is happening right
Especially
now? Or like a pitcher. Are you suggesting a pitcher getting hurt would be
Right.
something that's abnormal when he's doing things with his arm and his shoulder that he probably really shouldn't be doing over and over and over and over?
Yeah, right.
Just a dumb, ridiculous thing to say.
For sure. No, it's
like you wouldn't say that about Tiger Woods. He gets hurt all the time.
Yeah. You also, the other guy that is also hurt on that team, his name is Anthony Rendon.
Yeah, well.
And he doesn't like baseball.
That
I think
one
you
feels
should probably
a little different,
I think you
actually.
should probably go after that guy.
Anthony Rendon, if given the choice, do you want to be the hot dog guy or do you want to be a baseball player? If he was telling you the truth, might say,
Hot dog
on
guy.
certain nights, I'd be the hot dog guy with a scoreboard shirt of how many beers and hot dogs I ate. Mike Trout's actually trying to be a great baseball player, and I described it as it's just now unlucky. Like, he's had an amount of injuries that is really astonishing, really.
Sure.
Strasburg was different. He blew his arm out while
Correct.
he's throwing the ball 100 miles an hour. That isn't what Mike Trout is doing, so I get it. Like, it's weird that he keeps getting all these crazy injuries, but it's not like they're not real, and I don't believe he did things to put his body in jeopardy.
That's right.
Crazy thing to say. Anyway, let's get to Stephen A's other sport, basketball.
Uh-huh.
So the Suns owner came out today and did a press conference and
That's right.
stated that his team is in a really good position and that the other 29 GMs of the league would trade their whole roster for his whole roster tomorrow. And that's probably a wink, wink. Brad's included.
All right.
We're in a good position. No, you're not. You just got swept in the first round, paying a preposterous salary on players that basically kind of can't be moved unless they tell you to move them, and then you're going to have to do it at their behest. And oh, by the way, the rest of your roster, none of the other 29 GMs want.
Right.
They're laughing at you when you say something like that.
Right. And at the same time, you can't improve your roster because you're paying so much money to those three players.
Yes.
You don't have a bench. That
You
was
don't have a
literally
bench.
that was literally the difference.
You
maker.
don't have a bench. You don't have a point guard.
Yeah, right.
Like the things that typically help basketball teams win. You made Brad be the point guard. He's not the point guard, and the stats show. It's new owner, doesn't know what to say.
The second one of these where I'm like, it's nice not to be that team.
That's right. Right.
It's really nice to not be that team anymore.
I can't wait to see what Durant does. Does he stick it out or does he ask to go somewhere else?
Right.
And then demand it, and then you're going to have to make it happen. Because we're still in that space where those guys can get away with that.
Yes.
Very few other players in any other sport can get away with that. They can get away with it.
Except the only problem is that owner, he might dig his heels in.
Maybe.
I could totally see a scenario where Katie says he wants out and that owner goes, nope, you're under contract.
I'll hear both sides of this. Like, all right, you got three players, that are great. Run it back, see what happens, see what other things you can do around the margins.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also hear out with no draft capital and over the luxury tax with these three players, blow it up.
Right.
Or at least trade Booker and Durant because you're going to get things for them. Beal, you're probably stuck with. Blow it up and get stuff back and try to rebuild. And
Sure.
Brad will just be on the bad team again. Suns, bruh.
Suns,
But it sounds like he's already dug his heels in on it.
Right.
And he wouldn't say anything about Frank Vogel, which is when those guys tell me to fire him, I'm going.
That's
to.
right. Yeah,
when
yeah.
Brad gets on the bat phone to them and says, I don't know about this guy.
When Coach JJ goes to the Lakers, and then we have the carousel
Coach
start.
JJ. Mm-hmm. Darvin Ham goes to the Suns now.
There you go.
Right. Maybe the Pistons are like, you want Monty Williams back? We're paying him more than anybody else, and we were terrible.
Also terrible, yes.
Yeah, worst record in the league somehow. We're worst record.
Yep.
The other things that happened was Boston advanced. That's not a surprise
Right.
because the Heat were without Jimmy Butler. So realistically, what was going to happen? I didn't even mention this. Kristaps got hurt.
Yeah.
And is
right.
out for a period of time. So we'll have to see what that means for them. But I look around the East and I go, who's beating them?
Right. Correct.
Even without him, like who realistically is beating them? Like, I guess the Sixers somehow could if Embiid survives.
Right.
Like, it seems like he's in the fight of his life, to like just stay alive. And I don't think the Knicks will, because I just don't think they'll score enough to actually beat them, which will start who are they going to get
Right.
to like
Of
join
course.
that group. And then Indiana got silver plattered a series win and blew it.
Yes.
And now all of a sudden they're like Dame and Giannis might come back. And if they do, it's going to be an all-time you blew it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
should have done this.
For sure.
And then no one's going to pick Orlando to beat them.
Play the song.
Play a song. And I guess Cleveland would be competitive with them, but they can't seem to put away the Magic. So,
Right.
like, who's buying into them doing it? So, I don't know if it even matters. But
Right.
that's not a surprise that they advanced in 5. And then the Mavericks won last night. No Kawhi. They should have won.
Yep.
And, they'll be interesting in the next round. Let's see what I assume they're going to get there. And then the Clippers are like the Suns, where they got a bunch of guys that keep getting hurt.
Yeah. Right.
And they're probably stuck with that.
Sure, but they were
They're
good.
probably
They
stuck.
were, they were good in the regular season. Though.
Who's
I mean,
realistically trading for Kawhi Leonard if you wanted to? Because he's never available to the degree that you need him to be.
Right,
And
yeah.
then I think Paul George is a free agent.
That
I
sounds
think
right.
he is.
Yeah.
So, and he's the one who's always healthy, available, good.
Yep.
So let's see where he goes. I saw someone try to link him to Orlando, and I'm like, he ain't going there. What are you, out of your mind? Why? Nobody goes there. That's one of those places. Nobody goes there. What free agent signs with them? It's like, I can't wait to go to Orlando. Nobody signs there.
I mean, you have to do the sign and trade thing.
Yes.
So
And he has to want to do it.
Sure.
He's a
No,
free
I-
agent. He has to want to do it.
look, they're
Play
playoff
the
team.
song.
Play the song.
Play the song.
They're a playoff team.
No, it's not happening. But all right, you can believe
Tax
that.
free.
That's true.
And Miami's not trading for everybody. So
Miami's going to get somebody.
right.
Him, Durant, somebody. Maybe
Who
surprisingly convince
who
LeBron.
wants to live near Disney World?
I don't know. Nobody. Not these days.
Nobody.
Not these days. Because you never know what protest is going to pop up.
Well, that's
Let's see what the theme of their next movie is. I'm going to get mad about it. See what they're trying to teach our children and groom them.
Oh, God.
Anyway.
They're grooming them for the song.
Yeah, for the song. All right, other news today is RFK.
Yep.
So it's going to get demolished. I thought that was already in the plans. I was actually surprised to hear that that's actually happening because I remember a year or two ago going, do you think you could let me push the button to blow it up? Because I actually would like to be the person to push the button and blow it up. And so now I didn't realize that wasn't definitively happening until today when they announced it is happening. And I don't want to throw cold water on what that means, but it does not mean that a Commander Stadium is going there. It's just what has to happen to a dilapidated piece of property when they decide what they're going to do with it, because that has to happen no matter what, and probably should just happen because they need to get that thing out of there.
That's right. No, I believe it was said today that all of the hazardous materials in the seats have been removed.
Yes.
So that's what was already starting and happening. And now I guess I still didn't quite understand it either. Can they now blow it up?
They now are allowed to blow it up.
Okay. Because I still wasn't I was kind of like, okay, are you just going to take a wrecking ball to it? And
I don't know. I want the whole explosives push the
Right.
button and,
So do
yay, watch the thing blow
So
up.
do I. But like
the
still,
King Dome or
Yeah.
the Silver Dome when they did that.
Right.
I want to do that. I want to put my name in to push that button. I want to do that.
They should auction it off.
They should auction it off.
That should be what they do. But
Yeah.
I mean, I still didn't quite understand. I don't know if that's still allowed or that's
I don't know. I don't know. But I saw a lot of, this obviously it's news because it's forward progress to getting that spot back and potentially to put a stadium there. I believe Muriel Bowser would like to do that. I believe many people in the DC City Council would like to do that. There are these other steps that need to occur politically. The Senate needs to, it's in committee. The House voted to allow DC to have the land back. The Senate's in committee to do so. I haven't heard whether it's like greenlit the way the House had it greenlit. Like we knew it was going to pass the House just the way it went through committee so fast. I haven't heard whether that's the case here. assuming it is, and I shouldn't assume anything, but assuming that it is, and then it will go to the White House, and assuming the White House would sign that, which I assume that they would, once we get those steps, well, that no matter what they do with the land, they were going to have to get RFK off of it,
right?
Because you have to redevelop it, and it's a dilapidated piece of property that is like servicing vermin of the area that have basically lived in this property. So it's time for it to go. But I know, like everybody saw this and was like, "Here comes RFK," 2.0. I don't know that yet, and I don't want this is the reason why I'm saying it. Okay, like I want it to happen too. I don't want to be misunderstood here. I want it to happen too, but this is the problem with DC and this thing is the red tape is so crazy to make it happen. This is a good sign that this is occurring, but it doesn't mean it leads to a stadium.
Yeah.
And I want you to watch what's happening around the country right now because I think it's important in discussing this. The Titans did get public funding for a stadium. The Bills did get public funding for a stadium. But the Bears and the Chiefs are running into roadblocks like you wouldn't believe, right?
Right.
The Chiefs couldn't get public funding from Missouri to do something for a new stadium for them. So they went to Kansas because Kansas City, Missouri is right on the border. And they went to the state of Kansas where they were like, do you want it? And just kind of like what we're doing with Virginia, Maryland, and D.C. And their legislature didn't vote on it.
Right.
Which is it's basically saying we're not interested without getting into a public pissing contest about it. Like we're not even going to talk about, not that they would move far away. It would just be on the other side of the border. And there is a Kansas City, Kansas. So like probably regionally very close. But their legislature was like, we kind of don't want to even have anything to do with this. It didn't really publicly say anything about it, which is a nice way of saying, no, thank you, but we don't want to get into a fight about it, right? So we don't know what they're going to do. I have a hard time believing they're moving because it's the Kansas City Chiefs. And I just cannot, especially right now, they're so good, so popular. I can't imagine. And the NFL's not in the business of moving teams. Like they did with the Raiders because it's second team in a market, dilapidated stadium, couldn't seem to get a deal done with that marketplace and wanted to put something in Las Vegas. So
Right.
they let that occur. And it makes sense. Emerging market. The 49ers are there, so it's not like the Bay Area isn't serviced in some way. The Kansas City Chiefs aren't leaving. The question is what's going to happen and how long is it going to take to get there. But the point is the public money dried up fast there, not unlike what Ted learned with Virginia. All of a sudden, the public money got real weird real fast, and maybe it was just this one woman that got in the way. Muriel Bowser did come to the rescue with some real public funds, but not the type of funds that build this style of stadium. The Bears, who've been talking about going to Arlington Park, which is not far, it used to be where the racetrack was. They bought that piece of property, and they talked about moving out of Soldier Field to Arlington Park, probably 30, 40 minutes away, but it's Chicago suburbs, so they're not moving out of Chicago or anything like that. And they couldn't get a deal done to build the stadium that they wanted to build there. So, because the politicians said, we really actually want it to stay in Chicago, they said, okay. And they built out the projection of a $5 billion stadium that they wanted to build in downtown Chicago. And everybody cheered it, and like Ted and Glenn did.
Yeah.
And they were like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Guess what happened today? The governor of the state says this is a non-starter for the Chicago Bears to get the stadium that the local politicians have said, not unlike here, want it here, not to go anywhere else.
Yep.
So I only bring all of this up because this is not as easy as it sounds. And just because we now have a date that blows up RFK, it doesn't mean, one, they're going to get their hands on the land, even though that would signal they will. And it doesn't mean that they'll build the $2 to $3 billion stadium that the Commanders are thinking about because, listen, Ted got a lot of money to stay in D.C., and I'm happy that the D.C. government figured that part out. But it's a fraction of what they would actually have to provide to build a football stadium, a modern football stadium on that site. So I'm not jumping to any conclusions by this happening today. I think it's another good sign, and I do believe Muriel Bowser and the local politicians who are in favor of this want to have this happen. But I'm not there yet. I'm still in I'll believe it when I see it mode. And that going down, this getting through Congress, then the DC City Council talking about it, I still think we're a good year away from finding out whether it's actually truly viable for RFK to be the next home, whenever that may be.
Mm-hmm.
And then if that doesn't happen, I guess they'll go to Westmore and Glen Youngkin and see if they can figure something out. But this is not a done deal by any stretch. They're going to get a stadium. The question is where and how much is going to get put into it, and I think that's all kind of in question. The one thing that I think I always go back to is Roger Goodell seems to want this to happen. So will the NFL step in monetarily to make this happen?
That's been my theory the whole time.
Yes. And so I think if we can get the RFK thing moving in the right direction, and the DC government says we want to do it, but there's a limit to how much we're willing to put into this, and the owners don't want to pay for it themselves, will the NFL say, we really want that stadium in the nation's capital? It's meaningful to us to have it there. There'll be a lot of things that'll occur. How do we help make this happen and use our coffers to do it? And that's what I'm waiting to actually see. But I was glad to see this, but everybody always jumps to these conclusions when these things happen.
Yep.
And I'm like, that place needs to be torn down because it's dilapidated and it's awful and it's an eyesore and it's blight, and they are preparing for something's going to happen there. So they're getting ahead of that part of it. It has to be raised no matter what.
That's right, exactly.
So that's what I'm happy it happened, but I don't want to fall into this trap where everybody goes, we're getting the stadium there. I don't think you know that yet.
Right.
That is the intentions, obviously, but will it happen? I don't know.
Yeah,
and that doesn't mean that to me.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a quick break. Bram watch the show, ESPN 630 Sports Capital. Orioles won today, beat the Yankees 7-2 to win 3 of 4 in their set with New York. Nationals are playing today down in Arlington, Texas. They trail the Rangers 3-0 in the top of the 8th rubber match of that series. The Nationals trying to get that elusive over 500 record. They sit 500 here. Another local team trying to get back to 500 this weekend will be the DC Defenders, who take on San Antonio in a rematch of their Week 1 matchup, as we welcome in the head coach of the Defenders, Reggie Barlow. Hey, Coach, how are you?
I am better than I deserve. Thanks for asking. How are you guys?
We're so accustomed to you guys playing really tight, close games. This last one obviously got away from you all against St. Louis. As you kind of look ahead and look back at what happened, how do you kind of like contextualize what happened against St. Louis as you move ahead?
Yeah, well, St. Louis was a really good team, and they're playing with a lot of confidence right now. And Coach Beck, they've done a good job of building that team, and we've had some really good contests with them, but they got after us really good, right? Whenever we turned the ball over a few times and had a blocked punt, which all that falls on me as the head coach, and just have to prepare these guys better or continue to prepare them and get those guys ready to play.
You played San Antonio in Week 1. That one didn't go the way you would have wanted. What did you learn from that matchup the first time around as you get set for a rematch with them this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these teams that we're playing, I mean, obviously they know we bring pressure, so they've developed and they're getting the ball out really quick, under 2 seconds, and or right at 2 seconds, and it gives us a hard time to do what we're really good at, and that's rushing and getting out to the passer. So we've made some adjustments. We obviously have to mix up coverage and play a little man, play a little zone, and continue to cover our area, get to our landmarks, and of course being able to tackle better. We didn't tackle that good at that first game.
I assume too, like you don't want to get out of what your identity is, right? Because you're talking about adjusting here, but you guys, you are what you are on that side of the ball. You're not talking about an identity change here, right?
Oh, not at all. We love who we are. We love what we do. Our guys have been playing hard. They've bought into, the systems, all 3 phases. So definitely not changing any of that stuff, but just being a little bit more creative on the back end and how we do stuff, and just getting even more guys involved that we believe will help us.
Obviously, this is second of a 3-game homestand. I assume you're looking at this stretch as critical, right, for this season to get this season going the right way?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is huge. You talk about I talked to our team about, getting back on track. And, I was reading a book that it's called It Takes What It Takes, all right? And that can be a lot of things. That's discipline. That's dedication. That's grit and, staying in the fight, attention to detail and all that stuff. So we've been talking about that. The guys have been working hard, and we're looking forward to being there in Audi Stadium and getting a chance to Audi Field, getting a chance to go out and get us a victory.
It's going to be a good one. Sunday, 4 o'clock kickoff this weekend. You can get tickets at the UFL.com/tickets. It's San Antonio and the DC Defenders. Coach Reggie Barlow, thanks so much for checking in, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you, guys. Thanks.
All right. That's head coach of the Defenders, Reggie Barlow. All right. Things haven't gone as well for them as year one. They had one loss, got to the playoffs, unfortunately lost to the championship. 2-3 this time around as they try to flip the season back around.
The thing they were holding on to, they hadn't lost an Audi yet, period.
That's right.
And so when that happened,
they got one of those
happened, not great there. So
that one got away from them. A couple NFL things that are going on. The Steelers have declined the 5th-year option on Najee Harris.
Yep.
Okay, which is, but in this case, when you hear declined 5th-year option, you think Jamin Davis. We still have some questions. The Commanders didn't pick that up. Well, obviously, we got to see what's going to happen here with him. It doesn't mean they can't get a deal with him, but let's see what it is with him because it hasn't lived up to what they thought. Najee Harris has 3,000-yard rushing seasons.
Yeah,
is really good, extremely productive. And this just tells you everything you need to know about the running back market. They're like, we're not going to give you that.
Yeah, right, exactly.
He's done nothing wrong, done everything right. You'd think he's been healthy. He's getting better. And they're like, you know what? It's not that we won't keep you here, but this is what running backs are worth these days. They won't pay a premium ever for any of them.
Unless you are dynamic like Saquon. You're not getting that.
Well, even him, he couldn't get a cut 2 years in a row. He had yelling at the Giants about trying to get a deal with them.
No, exactly. But for Najee, he's good, not great. He's definition of a solid running back, but I would
put him okay, so he's not Saquon or McCaffrey, right? It's not that, or Derrick Henry prime. Right. It's not that. But I would put him in the tier below that I think he's above the average running back.
Yeah.
He's good, very effective, tough, big, physical. You'd think that fits everything that they're looking for. And they're even saying, we're just not going to pay a premium for this.
Right.
We may keep you, but we're just not. And so that's crazy. The other one I saw from them was there are reports that they're talking to Justin Fields about being a kick returner.
I saw that.
And when I saw it, I went, whoa.
Yeah.
Does that guy know that they're thinking? Well, he probably does. Is he okay with them thinking that?
Right.
Because this is one of those, are you transitioning him
That's right. Yeah.
to a receiver, weapon, gadget quarterback?
Look, Antoine Randall came from Pittsburgh.
Okay.
But I was
Is that
shocked
how they're
to see
looking at it? That because that leads you to believe, well, you don't let your quarterback return kicks. So that means you're seriously, Russ is the guy. You're seriously saying it. Because I've all along been like, let him compete. Let's see what happens. I don't know which way it'll go, but let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, that is a hint of there's not really going to be, or they don't think there's going to be a competition. Russ was going to be the guy at quarterback, and we're going to turn him into, I don't know, some kind of weapon.
I've been waiting for this of what the team was going to be to have a literal 2-quarterback system where
maybe they are going to run some kind of off-kilter, wildcat-y type plays that good luck game planning.
Right. When he's in, or when they break the huddle, they could both be back there.
Maybe.
You don't know what's going to happen.
That's true. You don't know. They stick him in the backfield, then suddenly Russ runs out into the flat.
Right.
You're you don't know.
Or they're both back there, and you
the Saints were doing it with Taysom Hill.
Sure. Yeah.
There's been a lot of times where I'm like, what are you doing? Many times with
the
that.
Taysom stuff was never deserved. I never thought he was that dynamic or good. In this case, those two guys, I could see that being a marriage of some kind. I don't know how well it would go.
But maybe they're looking at it like Russ is the refined quarterback.
Right.
We're going to have him play the position. Fields, we're going to put together a package that we feel he's good at. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to run him out there. And the first few weeks you see it, the defensive coordinators are going to be throwing their hands up going, we don't know what they're about to do.
Right.
It'll be by week 4 when they go, you better have something new every time because we're going to be on to you at this point.
Right, exactly.
But sticking him out there as the kick returner, I went, wow. you're just basically saying he's not going to be a long-term quarterback for you, that you love his athleticism and you think he brings something to the table, but he's Taysom Hill all of a sudden.
This is the what was supposed to happen to Lamar, remember?
Oh, right.
Remember
That's
Lamar
what they said was going to happen.
supposed to be the wideout or the gadget guy, and the Ravens drafted him, and he just happened to win an MVP.
Didn't work out that way.
Yeah.
It didn't work out that way.
Yeah.
Let's see. What do we got tonight? We've got Boston at Toronto. Bruins up 3-2.
Mm-hmm.
Austin Matthews is out again. They won in overtime to make this happen.
That was a good game, by the way. I watched that the other night.
For some reason, it's funny when they lose,
It
even
is
though
funny.
I'm not rooting for Boston in any way. But there's something funny. They are the Cowboys of the NHL. There's something funny about it.
Well, they also had the blow up on the bench on Saturday night
They're
where
yelling at each
they're
other,
yelling at each other, and that's kind of like in hockey, that's your death blow. Like if you don't win, you're going to get your team blown up doing that stuff. So,
yes. I think that's the only hockey game tonight, right? I believe that's the only one on the schedule.
You are
tonight.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
In basketball tonight, we've got Milwaukee, Indiana. The Bucks have threatened to bring Giannis
See the
and
tip
Dame
time on
back.
that? See the tip time?
5:30, right?
6:30.
6:30. Let's get it over with, guys. And if Indiana, listen, not that there's like high expectations on you, but if you blow this series without their 2 stars playing in multiple games, what's up with you?
Yeah, right.
I mean, come on, seriously.
Yeah.
And you're home tonight.
Yep.
And if those guys don't play, you have no excuse.
You have no excuse, yeah.
None.
100%.
And I like that their gamesmanship going like, well, they might play, they might not, and we'll see, I guess. And we'll probably know really soon in warm-ups if they're going to play or not.
Yeah.
That's that one. And then, DEFCON 8 in Philadelphia. Bing Bongs, Sixers. They've already put out the news that Maxey traveled on the 4-point play. It shouldn't have counted.
Yep.
So now the Knicks go to Philly. The Harris Group bought up tickets to try to stop the invasion of the Knicks fans this time. Embiid's hanging on for dear life. Can Maxey really do that again?
Nuclear.
It's nuclear. This is
from
nuclear.
all sides. From all sides.
This is the best of sports. It's nuclear.
Yeah.
This one's nuclear. I really hope we get a Game 7 just because I really want a Game 7 because I think that atmosphere would be just nuts in the Garden for that. But I'm going to pick the Knicks tonight. I think they're going to knock them off.
Part of me wants the Knicks to win with their fans in attendance there. So Philadelphia fans have to wear it.
The Knicks blew that game the other night. Maxey had to be beyond superheroic to pull that off.
Right.
I think the Knicks are going to win tonight. I think they're going to close them out, and then we'll see what they get on the other side of it.
Yep.
All right, talk to y'all tomorrow. Bram, watch the show, ESPN 630 Sports Capital.